Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Mohit Ambani, founder of UnoTag, helping companies and their sales teams to improve their performance through gamification. Hi Mohit, welcome to ELI.
Hi Priya, sure. Thanks. Great being on ELI.
Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Yes. Hi everyone. This is Mohit, founder of UnoTag. And what UnoTag does is basically we use gamification to improve performance of your sales teams, in some cases, customer support teams. And you can design incentive programs for various people. You can design variable pay for your teams and external teams. And our engine tries to kind of nudge and motivate certain behaviors and certain metrics amongst your people, and hence improve the top line performance and productivity charts which your CEO or your revenue ops team is normally looking at. So that's what we do at UnoTag. And I am so UnoTag is roughly 2 years old now in operations. I have started this 2 years back. We are a team of 25 people right now, selling SaaS platform, SaaS product in India, Southeast Asia, as well as now starting with US and Canada markets as well. That's about me and our company. And yeah, uh, let's take this discussion ahead.
So, can you tell us a little bit about the underlying technology and how does it work from an operational point of view? I understand that most of the gamification platforms or anything that relates to sales has to be in collaboration with the CRM platform. So, do you work alongside the CRMs or have you built a CRM inside your platform itself? How does it work?
Yeah, great question. So our product as such is a SaaS product. It's a mobile app and a backend platform. Backend platform is where you can create incentives and games. So we call all incentive journeys as games. You can design games like suppose your target is to close a revenue of $100,000, and in that game there are some challenges like you have to have demos with 50 customers, have marketing sales qualified leads at 30, have at least 5 VP level conversations. So those are some challenges inside that game. And at the back end, you can design such games, such incentive journeys for various team members. It be sales where you can have many such metrics pointed out that, okay, my metric is sales funnel. How many do I have in sales qualified leads? How many am I closing down? How many am I losing? How many am I having conversations with top level CXO management? Where am I upselling to my existing customers? So every such metric you can design an incentive journey using a no code. So basically you have to just design a flow chart that this happens, this is after that, this is the incentive which should go out for this challenge, and this is the compensation which should go out for completing that. So all your sales commission, sales incentives on a single platform. At the front end, we kind of make it intuitive for the user, so they kind of get an experience of playing a game. They are part of a game where their avatar is becoming higher and higher as they cross more and more milestones, complete more and more challenges. So how would you have played your GTA and many such games where the game mechanics are competition, incentives, those leaderboard badges and things like that. So we try to inculcate those kinds of features at the user experience. So they could be playing a competition like a cricket league, Dream 11 cricket league, and uh, their metrics like sales would have some points given to them, and
Mhm.
you can have the top performer, top team, and things like that. And on the CRM front, yes, our platform is heavily reliant on CRM. We are integrated with major ones like Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, Zoho, Freshdesk, and such CRMs. We are not an inbuilt CRM. It is fairly easier to take a HubSpot, get that data in through UnoTag, and run your games and incentives.
Okay. Can you tell us about your clients? Like how many clients do you have? uh, how what kind of impacts they have been seeing after using your platform, and what about the users, end users, the salespeople? What do they think about the platform?
Yes, so yeah, this will make me allow share a good number of experiences. So right now we have 60 plus clients around the world. Of course, our major concentration has been India, and we work with various industries: banking, financial, edtech, and even as outdated industries as building material. They are still adopting technology in many fronts. So we have close to in terms of users, more than 15,000 users using our platform, which would be the sales reps or customer support teams of our clients. So on that front, we have gained some good traction. In terms of experiences, our platform is it has been used in many cases to create contests. So those are like Olympics or cricket leagues or football leagues and things like that, where people are having a competition between them, healthy competition, where between a metric. So a metric could be who is closing, having the most number of demos with companies having employees more than 10. So that was one metric. And competitions are run under them. People are given medals and badges for being a part of that competition. So one example I would like to give is one of the software and hardware type of company in IT segment, IT services. They have close to 50 plus sales reps and another 10 in customer support and five, I think, account executives. So those 50 come under five or six, I suppose. So they created a IPL like structure. They during, I think, last 4 months back, they created their own league. All the sales reps were auctioned. So every sales rep, based on his past performance, we kind of gave them a graph that this player has so much of revenue, so much of demos, and some metrics. So there was an auction head, virtual auction. So the account executives and the management, they we kind of replicated the experience of IPL, and they held an auction every. They had a budget of $100,000, and every player was bought for a certain revenue or whatever strategy their team had. So points were calculated on 4 to 5 metrics, and teams bought the players on those metrics. Okay, this is a person who I don't know if he closes revenue or not, but he's the best cold caller we can have. So something like is the best fast bowler. I don't know if he's all rounder or not. So they
Uh-huh.
created that auction, built teams, and the matches were so amazing. Like even for our team personally, everyone just morning first thing they did was check what happened with the scoreboard yesterday. Who is leading it? Who is beating whom? Who is trying harder? And you won't believe it. The business productivity increased by close to 60% because it was rightly done. Like how we had advised them, how they had that competitive nature in their team. So that kind of increased their metric productivity by 50%. Everyone enjoyed being a part of it, and now they have made sure that every year they'll have one league where top performers will be given some prizes, and they have a hall of fame where one huge poster of that winning team with the orange cap and the purple cap is shown. So those kinds of experiences where you get your personal hobbies and that entertainment or adventure aspect in your professional life, and those kinds of experiences are which we are trying to replicate in many such instances. Of course, something simple as sales commissions is always there in a product, so that is something which is used on a daily basis by all the teams. But yeah, these are some of the experiences by our customers when using our product.
Well, I must say this is the most interesting thing I have heard about any sales process. Probably I'll try to implement it somewhere because I interact with a lot of salespeople. Uh, but one fundamental thing I want to understand from you is why people respond to such gamification activities, especially the sales team. Because the CRMs are there, the performance trackings can be done by any sort of CRMs. Every CRM has a reporting module. But why do people respond to a gamified way of doing things?
So that is more related to human psychology, I would suppose. CRM is a great tool at getting data in place. So it was doing that first generation work perfectly fine. You had no what do you call overall view of what's happening with your sales teams. CRM did that okay, you have the deals, you have the leads, you have what's happening with every sales rep, how many deals is he closing, good data to view for the CXOs and the sales ops guys. But what happened then is doing data entry on CRM, and as such sales or any customer facing job is difficult. You have to handle a lot of no's, a lot of questions. There are like crisis management has to be ingrained in your that group. That's what happens with sales people as they are spend more of their time in it, and especially that initial 1 to 5 years where you're learning the product or learning the customers and things like that. So one thing which was missing and which we normally saw was that motivation to do that stuff. Okay, you have a good CRM, you have a good product, people are putting in data, salespeople are selling that to everyone, but what motivates you to wake up next morning and tell that I have to anyhow close 5 demos today? It's just not that pay slip, like that pay slip of 50,000, 1 lakh rupees is not that motivator. It is a good stick that, okay, if I don't perform, I might lose my job. But it's not that anymore. Like companies need to evolve from stick to a carrot. You can have a stick, but people don't necessarily improve by stick. Because if that was the case, in your school, the worst performer would have been someone whom the teacher used to beat the most. So that's not how it works. They needed tools to motivate them so that by themselves they perform the best. Like Priya should be interested to take the podcast every day morning, not because my CXO is telling that Priya, you have to do that podcast. Then the questions will become, okay, Mohit, what do you do? Okay, Mohit, why do you start entrepreneurship? But if Priya is inherently interested that, okay, I want to learn about entrepreneurs, I want to build a thesis, I want to encourage people. So that motivation is what gamification brings in. How we do it, there are multiple ways, there are multiple mechanics to do it. There is recognition, there is short term goals, there is incentives at certain points, getting yourself higher on leaderboards. Even we give cool medals. So we have tied up with a company in India. They make really amazing medals. So there is a video made at the end of competition that, okay, I have won this medal. It is a mix of recognition, incentives, and competition. The reason to win, the reason to get higher on the social ladder, and the reason to show off in front of my friends. That is what, in a good way, we are trying to do with gamification. CRM did its job perfectly. It gave the CXOs complete view of what their sales team is doing. We are an addition to that CRM where we make sure that even if CEO is not tracking what that salesperson is doing, I will make him inherently perform better. And there is no better tool than making the person realize that, okay, I need to perform better. Like salary can only do it to a certain extent, especially in markets like, it's not about salary. You can't fire up someone just because he is not performing. There's a lot of coaching and motivation which is done on regular basis, and process which is followed. So that is the product market fit which we are targeting at, where inherently we are all people. We are all people driven by certain things. Now my job, our UnoTax job, is to find what drives them.
Okay. Speaking of product market fit, tell us how you achieve it, how you achieved it, or if you have achieved it or not so far.
I would say we are in the journey of it. We have certainly not excelled at it. We are just near that seed stage where we know that, okay, this is a product, this is a problem, we are solving it, and we are solving it to a certain extent where users are liking it, but certainly not achieved it at a very high scale. How we have done that small part which we are talking about, it was a gradual journey. We are a sales tech SaaS solution. There are three verticals under our product. One is gamification and contests. One is just sales commission calculation, and the third thing is sales enablement. So we give you your variable pay. We motivate you to get higher incentives, and we have a Duolingo kind of interface where you try to learn your daily practices. So it's a complete sales tech solution. We started with a sales incentives calculator that you can design your variable pay, you can design your commissions using a no code builder. As we tried and sold that, there was a requirement that, okay, I'm giving them commissions. They're seeing that commissions. It's a great product to use. How do I make sure that people themselves have that need to perform? And we looked at various tools. Some tools are solving that problem to a certain extent. We tried to improvise on the game like experience. So we target our kind of generation who is in the decision making process now. So I am about 26, 27. Our generation is 24 to 35, 36, where they are now the decision takers. They like games. I have not met a single person who has not played games while he was brought up. So those computer games, those games on field, and so that behavior, that market opportunity is what made us think that, okay, let's try to do. Gamification as a concept is not very old, but it's not that it got invented yesterday. People have been trying to do things. LinkedIn is doing gamification to a certain extent. Facebook is doing gamification, or that psychological urge to. So every time that feed, when you refresh, there's a thing acting in your brain which wants new information. So you will try your best to refresh that feed as much as possible. You want that new things forever. So great companies are doing it. We are doing for those great companies in whatever extent we can do it. So we're not, to sum it up, we have not achieved at scale the PMF, but we are on part to it. We are building a good sales stack solution, and it certainly has a requirement with the growing inside sales market.
Absolutely, there is a requirement, no doubt about it. And me uh, uh, being a stakeholder in the sales and marketing community, I can tell you that there is a requirement. Now, I would like to understand about your journey. How did you arrive at this point? What path did you take? How did you come up with the idea in the first place?
So yeah, on the front of my journey, I would just like to start it up with one thing. So my dad, my father, for everything we used to do for every certain interaction, we used to tell that ask five whys. So there should not be one, two, three, but five whys as to anything. So for example, what is your favorite food? And you tell dosa. So ask five whys. Why dosa? You tell it's tasty. I like the crispiness. Why? So if you can answer those five whys, and you come to that answer, that is your internal need to start anything. So for me, in that process, it was the adventure of 0 to 100. And why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, or why UnoTag was the adventure to 0 to 100.
Okay.
The journey has been pretty, like every entrepreneur, it is a lot of ups and downs. At one point, you'll feel that, wow, I am going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. And the other point, you'll feel like, oh man, I don't know if I'll be able to feed myself tomorrow. So that's, I think, more or less with everyone. I started at the age of 14 selling websites. Uh, so one thing which I did was all my school and college homepages had my website to drive up the ad revenue. In my small hemisphere, that made a lot of impact. I earned my first $500,000, and that day it was ingrained in me that, okay, I am a technology person. I can at least feed myself with being in this career. Let's see what it figures out to be. Then did a lot of initiatives which had a 0 to 100, from entrepreneurship sales to TEDx events. So anywhere where I had to start from zero and I had to form a team, I did many such events. So that kind of made me sure that, okay, whatever it is, you have excelled at least 0 to 1. You know how to get stuff in place. Then it is just about the escape velocity. Uh, how do you achieve that escape velocity, and how do you make people achieve that escape velocity? So escape velocity is basically using 50% of your resources to reach 10, and after that there's an autopilot mode which begins. So the concept of orbits entering satellites entering orbits. So that was the thesis, and then how we came up with UnoTag was essentially talking to customers. So uh, we didn't have an idea upfront, we just talked to a lot of people. uh, Fortunately, we talked to a lot of salespeople because they are the most accessible people overall. You would not find a purchasing procurement guy talking to anyone. So we talked to a lot of salespeople. We talked to them, and they told that, okay, this is my job. My CRM entry is very boring. My customers are always saying no, and things like that. 100 problems. You talk to any salesperson, even me, uh, you will find a list of 1,000 problems, because sales is the most difficult job. So that made us think that, okay, let's solve something for them. Of course, we were not the people who could solve the problem, but we thought that, okay, let's solve the underlying factor of it. What will make me do that CRM entry every morning? That would be something which is viable for the company and the sales guy as well. That's how we started. One thing led to another. More customer conversations led to more and better products, and that's how we came at where we are.
Okay. Tell us, how did you find the people that you have in your venture? How did you recruit them?
On the front of founding team, which is I feel the most difficult thing to happen. So I had college people whom I had worked with in many events, TEDx and entrepreneurship cell, and many such college fests and things like that. So we were a bunch of 3 4 people. We started the company. Unfortunately, it's a different thing at college, and it's a different thing after life. So out of the four, the three of them quit in 3 months, and for many reasons. So there was no financial uh, motivation out of the product as such. You didn't know what you were doing. You were just running around. They did work for 3 months, but then they had job offers and they all shifted. So that's when I realized that, okay, without a goal, everything is meaningless. And so I carried on with my journey. I talked with a few freelancers initially to develop our software product, and eventually there was a connection between the 2 3 people whom I used to speak up with. So those were technology guys, and initially for 3 4 months they were freelancing. Then I put in some capital and gave them an assurance that, okay, you'll have salary for sure. If not salary, I will make sure that you'll have projects in hand, so you won't go hungry. And that was some initial thesis, and we started up with the 3 4 people founding team. After that, it was need based. We got some orders, some requirement that, okay, please solve our sales incentives. We made a product around it. We hired a customer success guy, and the journey then followed. One person gave me, so how we started with initial expansion was, one client told us that, I'll pay you, but you handle the customer support. Like, the sales rep should call you and you solve it. So that gave us the next 3 employees in customer support, and eventually they headed up handling all customer support. So this is how the team built up, and then Arpit and Sohail and Mehul were the founding team. So we as a company are a CEO driven. So everyone is CEO, but just that I act as the veto. That's the only difference. So if Arpit feels that he is not able to do the job alone, he hires someone. We have a culture intact that everyone should be a leader, not only in the founding team, but the other next hires as well. So that is the thesis which we start with, and every department got some team members, and we became a good 20 25 people which are now working.
Okay. Now tell us, what are the different challenges that you have faced so far while building and growing?
So on the front of what I did at UnoTag was product and sales. So building the product, selling to customers, learning from them what they require, and hence building the product. So my expertise in terms of challenges would be there. Few challenges was initially where our team was freelance driven. Like the focus is not that high, and that's where I realized that okay, this is not something which can build a company. So if anyone is starting a company with fewer resources, so if and one or two people and you don't have that much resources, I would suggest that don't go for freelancers or interns. Try having a full-time team in place. That's a mistake which I did, because the product focus deviates. You just are building a software which no one will use. So that was time wasted for us. And have some goals initially built up. You can't just start a company and then think what to do. That was one of the mistake which we did. That have some goal in place, that okay, you want to build this and sell this and then gather people around it, because people cannot gather or become focused unless there's no target set in place. Then on the front of sales, there are way too many challenges for startups. It's I would say it would be the most difficult to find customers outside your friends and family and connections. But highly suggestion that do it. How many ever times you are rejected, how many ever times. So I have personally gone to cold calling. So I'm based in Bangalore, but a lot of customers are based in Mumbai. So I would choose a technology park kind of situation. Uh, Go to the building, study the 10 companies, have some idea about it, and just go and talk to the watchman. That so my initial biggest hurdle was clearing the security gates, because no one was giving me appointment from the company. It is a 2000 3000 crore company, and they won't give me appointment without having a proper thing in place. But somehow cold calls helped me. Cold calls helped that how do you crack situations. So I have myself become an expert in cold sales, where you just go on and talk and try that it will convert it. Uh, of course, have some target market in place. You can't just go out to anyone on road. But that was one of the challenge. Sales is very difficult, especially in B2B SaaS. Getting your initial customers, learning from them, because you don't have the thesis in place. Like if let's say you are building a CRM and you are competing against Zoho, it's very difficult to sell. How do you sell?
Mm.
So sales is very challenging. And yeah, on the front of product and sales, to be one person, it takes a lot of effort. You might feel that it's just ideation, but getting people to think as you think is one of the biggest challenge as a CEO. Like, how do you make sure that what you are expecting from your communication is what they are listening to? And I have failed at that miserably. That is one of the biggest challenges which I'm still trying to overcome.
Did you pivot your business model somewhere?
Yeah, we did a lot of pivots initially. So imagine you are going talking to a customer and listening to their problem statements. You will incur thousands of problem statements, from a small agarbatti manufacturer to a 2000 crore company. They will tell my supply chain, I want this automation. My camera should automatically detect the number of cartons which are going out of my warehouse and coming in my warehouse. So, and believe me, I tried solving that problem. So uh, that journey was only pivots. We were just roaming round and round. Then we realized that okay, this will not lead us to anything. Let's focus on sales. And we started with sales incentives. After that, we have not pivoted, but we have tried to add more and more customer centric solutions, build good mini products out of a whole sales tech stack. So initially, there were a lot of pivots where we didn't know what we wanted to do. But after we kind of formulated the goal and where do we want to be placed, then we were more or less focused. We didn't deviate if we saw a bigger opportunity. Customers will always give that, okay, you are building this, this is good, and he won't take it from us. but he'll tell that you should build the next biggest ERP because there is a ERP shortage in India. You get interested when a big customer is telling that they are facing the ERP problem, but biggest realization was that you don't have to solve that. You can't be good at many things. Just focus on one thing and scale it up. Hard lesson learned, but most valuable lesson learned, that you just can't building customer requests. It's very difficult building products.
Okay. Now that you have built a solution that works very well, tell us what is the vision you have as a venture.
So on the front of where we see 3, 5, 10 years down the line is we become the tool for all for many kinds of sales reps, which handles their complete journey from identifying lead, uh, automations or cadences to target that lead personalized, improving their coaching and behavior to customize to that account, gamify that approach, have your incentives and compensations amplified through that effort. And so we kind of want to become a sales inside sales tech stack solution. There are companies who are doing that. So companies like Outreach and Salesloft who kind of have that journey in place, that okay, I will give you conversation analytics, I'll give you sequences, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, and inside sales has to only do that. So our vision is to become a product on that lines where our product adds value in, even if it's one industry, uh, customize it for them and add value to handle their end-to-end needs. That is a long-term vision, and we we are trying to solve that, where multiple workflows and automation buildings becomes easier. And on short term goals, we see that we can add at least $1 million ARR from US in the next year or so. So try to get customers in US because we add a lot of value as a product. We add a lot of value also as terms of knowledge database. So we're not just a bunch of engineers building product, but a bunch of product interest engineers who are building a product. So on that front, we want to scale up our operations in US and get good SaaS companies as our customers. So yeah, uh, at an end goal, I see us as a sales tech stack IPO company in the next at least 10 years.
Awesome. Finally, this is my last question. Tell us about the lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur, which can shorten the learning curve of other entrepreneurs who are listening to us right now.
So yeah, I did highlight some points, but to just give you bullet points, hire a good founding team. Without that, don't start anything. uh, Make sure they are full time and focused and have goals in sight. That is your job as a CEO, whoever he is. Uh, have some decision making authority. Don't keep it very democratic. Democracies are good, but in companies, especially initially and even further down the time, uh, you can't have inefficiencies in your own system. So day one, have it that okay, this person is the veto. Even if he's wrong, we will try to argue, but we'll follow his path. Kind of what do you call it? Not the best way, but we have seen that if we don't do that, there is mayhem all around. So on the building of kind of companies, so uh, I would say that if you are building software, get some Indian customers, but don't focus only on India. It's the sales lead cycles are very big, paying capacity is quite low. So have a product in mind. If you're being a B2B SaaS player, have a product in mind which will sell in US, maybe 1 year, 2 year down the line. But have that in mind. Only India won't give you good enough product and good enough revenue, is what our thesis can be wrong, have been proved wrong as well. But more or less generalized doesn't work a lot. Uh, Good to start a consumer company in India because India is still in that journey where consumers are trying out new products. But B2B SaaS will require some time. Then on the learnings front, uh, spend a lot of time with your team. Like, of course, now we are all remote. It's difficult to get that culture vibe across, but spend time however possible. Uh, there are subconscious benefits in spending time. You will feel that I am talking with X person. We are writing down points and stuff, but it doesn't help a lot. You need that subconscious level of understanding. And then as a founder, do sales. There is no better learning than that. You have to do sales in however way you want it. You might build the best rocket, but it doesn't sell. It won't just sell. So do sales, and that's when you'll understand whom to hire for sales, whom to not hire for sales, and things like that. Before, I was of the understanding that you need a technical co-founder if you're a software company. But now you need goal-oriented employees and someone who understands your vision, can be a co-founder, cannot be a co-founder. That is my learning, but again, it has proved wrong and it can be proved wrong. But yeah, these are the things. If there should be one founder who is in sales, bare minimum, and try to form a founding team with a focused goal as early as possible, to sum it
Okay.
up.
Well, I must say it was one of the very interesting conversations that I have had. Thanks for your time, Mohit, and I would like to say my best wishes for Unitech.
Thank you so much, Priya, for having me at ELI. Hope my two bits of words add some value, because what we as founders do is just talking. I hope that talking makes sense. So yeah, great having being here, and thank you so much for getting me.